Hey guys, my name is Brandon and welcome to or welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you like what you see in here, you're more than welcome to hit the subscribe button so you stay notified every time I upload a new video. Okay, let's get straight on with today's video. Hey everyone and welcome back to Is That More Brandon. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing a review to episode 10 of I'm a Celebrity Get Me Out of Here 2024. So at the beginning of the episode, we found out that obviously the 12 campmates were on this fright bus and they kind of had to just endure a lot of torture from all these different insects and creepy crawlies in order to win stars. Maura said straight away if there was a spider on her, she would scream. Oti said she's never pressed a red button so quickly, and basically what they had to do is each row, so obviously the girls in the front, their first thing was a load of cockroaches and mealworms jumped on them. The person that was on the far right hand side had to move this kind of Pac-Man looking shape from one side, manoeuvring it across some pole and getting it to the other side. They had to do that 3 times, and then the person next to the red button would press the button to take a piece of luggage, and then they'd get off the bus. I'm presuming they took their own luggage because they know what bags they packed. But yeah, obviously Danny had a guitar, some of them had like handbags and backpacks and all sorts, so who knows what's in there, maybe more clothes, or maybe just a bag. So yeah, eventually row 1 got off the bus. Talisa was shouting, "Get away from me." And then you had Maura, Barry and Talisa that had green ants, who ended up at a stop called Green Ant Gardens, and they were just completely covered in green ants. And actually I felt really bad for Barry here because he had Maura screaming on one side and Talisa screaming on the other side. I'm sure they're both really strong women, but I guess in that sort of environment when you're just stuck in a bus and you can't get out and there's things crawling, yeah, it's probably not the best place to be in. But yeah, I felt really bad for Barry because he was trying to cool them both down and also be composed himself. Jane said to GK, the fire is still on, so they were shocked that was still on from when they had left for the task. Oti saw a frog on her bag and she screamed. And yeah, they all received a bag of luggage from the bus. Dean said it kind of felt like it was the leftovers from a charity shop, and Jane said it was just a bag of shite. Oti got a glittery dress. Danny got his guitar. Alan had a Hawaii shirt. Dean, Oti and Barry were singing a song saying shine a light on her, and I think they were all kind of just, I think it was one of Danny's songs from McFly, but I think they were all just kind of singing it in their own way, and they didn't realise how good of a voice Barry actually has, with Reverend Richard saying Barry sings like a fairy. Melvin and Oti were sitting there having a chat with each other, and Oti said to him, "Are you okay?" And he was like, "Well, no, I'm not okay." Melvin had a quick shower, and Oti said that obviously Melvin doesn't seem cool, calm and collected. Talisa and Barry did the washing up. And obviously Talisa was trying to find Barry because he actually walked a little bit too far in the forest, so he came walking back and she was kind of like calling out his name. So yeah, she just said, "Barry, you've gone a little bit too far. This is the pond where we need to do the washing up." And we also found out that the next announcement of the next trial was going to be called Shock Around the Clock, with one person taking that on, with Ant and Dex saying, "Dean, it's not you." And both Jane and Maura would be doing the previous trial, which was Fright at the end of the tunnel. So there was a lot of jumping forward and backwards of kind of, they're going to announce the next trial, but actually the 2 that are doing the trial that have already been announced is Jane and Maura. Maura said that she was glad she had Jane with her, and GK said that she knows Jane's going to smash it. Maura said that obviously Melvin, what she said to Melvin, that she wants to have a full belly tonight, with Maura saying to Jane that they're strong women and they can do this. What this challenge was for the 2 ladies is one of them was going to be above the ground, and they were going to have secret codes to find in different hell holes, and they had to give that code to the person under the ground by kind of shouting the 4-letter word out. That person below ground would be in the pitch black. They'd have to crawl from room to room to room, obviously underwater, and these little holes where you can kind of poke your head out and breathe. And then obviously, yeah, it kind of like one at a time. So word in the first hole, code in the first thing. This person moves across, the person above moves across, the person below moves across, and eventually they get to the end, and eventually they get up to 12 stars. So it was Maura who had decided to go above the ground, and it was Jane who was going to be doing the swimming under the water, with Jane saying it almost seemed like she was doing loose swimming, like a joke of loose swimming, which is quite smart. So for Maura, she obviously had to go through each of these different rooms, kind of not on her own. She was obviously joined by some things. So in the first room, she had toads, and the first code that she managed to find on the floor was tree. So she basically gave that code to Jane. Jane typed in the 4-letter word tree into this lock, which unlocked the star in the first room. So Maura's second room was lizards, and the words were fire and bird. And then I think she needed to get into a different room where I think there was like spiders in the way or something, and she basically was saying to them, "You're in my way," like of the door. I think they kind of got a little bit mismatched here because every so often Jane kind of skipped a few, or every other number. So I think the even ones were in little water areas, and then like the odd ones, they were easier to get for some reason. So every so often Jane would say, skip this one, move on to this one, or skip that one, or go back to that one, or actually I'm now back here. So kind of just, yeah, they were just working out a routine of which ones they needed to get or which ones were easy to get. Again, Maura ended up having to face her massive fear of spiders. She opened the little curtain and she was like, no, I can't go in there. She went in, absolutely smashed it. Obviously they're more scared of her than she is of them. And the word was meal. And then she ended up in a room with pythons, mealworms, and I think she had like crabs in one of the rooms as well. And I think that's the room that they struggled in, because that was the room I think she only had like, what, a minute left or something, and by that point they already run out of time. And then, yeah, one of the words where she was with the mealworm, she was trying to spell out the word boat, and Jane was like, S-O? And then Maura said, no, boat, A for ass. So it was just very funny how she was just, obviously Jane couldn't really hear properly because she's probably underwater. Maura, probably her accent was very strong for Jane to actually understand her. She was just screaming. So yeah, it just kind of was all going on there. But they managed to get 6 out of 12, which was a decent amount of stars. Danny also found a pair of red socks on the fire, which obviously belonged to Reverend Richard, so he accidentally had his socks burned. And Jane said to the campmates that she really enjoyed the challenge. Oti explained to Reverend Richard that she had to sing a church song or some church songs in order for her premature daughter, and it was the worst thing for her every night, having to leave her daughter in somebody else's hands. Reverend Richard also spoke about his ex-husband David, died of an alcohol problem, so I think this is when they kind of started to bond a little bit with kind of telling each other their personal life and personal stories. And you wouldn't really presume that a reverend is going to be as open and, you know, as caring and as, you know, loving as Reverend Richard was coming across. Oti explained that vulnerability is also tough to show, but especially when you're supposed to be strong. And then after their difficult conversation, they had 2 mud crabs each for dinner. GK said, get that away from me, and Jane explained to the others that she was in a tank with 10 of those. Up for the next trial, which was obviously spin around the clock or shock around the clock, it was either Maura or Talisa. So I believe at this point this was Talisa's first trial since being in camp. So yeah, it was quite interesting to see kind of how she would have got on with the challenge. So yeah, that'll be coming in the next episode. But if you did enjoy my review, don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. And until my next review, thank you for watching and goodbye.